Welcome to toy-polloi. Parental guidance. This video contains scenes of Lego destruction.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and in today's video we are going to be upgrading one of the figures that I have in my collection of Kenner's Centurions. Now in front of me here you can see my 3 Centurions figures, and this is how they are currently displayed here at toy-polloi. As you can see, I don't have many accessories and my Ace McCloud is looking a little bit tatty. In fact, I only just recently got these accessories for Ace McCloud. I found in a charity shop a Jake Rockwell that had these accessories on it, so I bought the figure just to get these accessories. As you can see, he's not looking that great. He's fairly sun damaged. He's got a little bit of wear and tear over him, and I've been wanting to try and upgrade him for a long time. As you may have seen that over on toy-polloi too, I recently had a donation from Morley, and he very kindly sent me a much better Ace McCloud, which you can see here. So we are going to be upgrading my Ace McCloud to this one here, but there are a few issues. This chap, he's had his arm glued in place, so this arm moves as it should, and this one is stuck in place. So I've got to somehow try and repair this. We've got to take it out and do the repair that I've shown on the other figures before, but getting this arm out feels like it's going to be quite hard work because it is fully glued in place. I've also got a whole load of accessories that Morley sent, not the complete set. So I went onto eBay, I bought the missing few pieces, but one of these is broken. The little clip that attaches it to the body is broken, which seems to be a fairly common issue with these figures. The clips that go into all of the holes on the figures do tend to break. So we are going to be fixing that as well today, and hopefully by the end of this video I will have been able to upgrade my Ace McCloud and have a really rather nice one to display here, and in future maybe I'll find the missing pieces for the other figures. But today let's work on Ace McCloud and get him all fixed up.
toy-polloi. That is incorrect. Try again.
We're going to start with what I hope is the easiest repair on these figures. As you can see, this is the figure I currently have in my collection, and he is looking rather sorry. This chap is in really nice condition, but he has a very common issue, and that is that the arms do tend to break on these figures, and his right arm has been glued in place, so you can't move this around. You can basically move him at the elbow, but otherwise that is fixed in place. You should be able to move it all around and do all sorts of posing with it, and we are going to fix that using my favourite way of doing that, and that is Lego. We have this little ball joint here, and we're going to modify that and stick it inside his body and drill a hole in his arm, and that will replace the joint. But we do have to take that arm off first. In fact, I can show you the repair on this figure because he has exactly the same issue. This arm was snapped off, and you can see it's now attached using those 2 Lego pieces. So if I can get the arm off, it should be a fairly easy process, but the arm has been glued on really rather well. I can see a lot of glue residues where it's sort of run down the back here. There's some inside. I'm not even sure what glue it is. It doesn't feel like super glue. Normally with super glue, if you give it a sort of little twist, you can hear it creaking and cracking. This doesn't feel like that, so yeah, I'm going to just have to go for it and see what happens. I've given it a little scrape just to see if I can work out what sort of glue it is, but I can't. So yeah, I'm going to get a knife and just gently score around the arm here, and then I think it's just going to be a case of carefully pulling it and see what happens. I really don't want to break any of the plastic on the body. Again, the plastic does get a little bit brittle, so I'm just going to have to go slow and see what happens. This may go horribly wrong. Sometimes when you're fixing toys that have had repairs like this on them, yeah, it can be a bit of an issue. So let's just give it a try. I'll get the knife out, give this a score, and we'll see what happens. Oh, actually that was much easier than I'd expected. It just broke away. So yeah, that's not too bad. There's a fair amount of residue in there. You can see, I can actually see the broken pieces still sort of stuck in the back, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. We'll have to clean that out, but the arms come off. So yeah, let's get a knife and we'll start scraping away some of this glue. Yeah, and we can see if we can clean that up, but I'm really pleased that that has come away as easily as it had. Now it's just a case of removing old glue residue. I've managed to clean off most of the glue on this. There's a little bit of residue left, but I think I've got the bulk of it out just using a knife and a screwdriver, and you can see I've cleaned up that hole in there as well. I think it's possibly Evo Stick, the glue, because when you looked inside this toy, it's a fairly sort of browny orange colour, and that tends to suggest it's Evo Stick, but it certainly had stuck pretty well. So we're now going to fix up this shoulder joint just using some pieces of Lego. I've been into my box of Lego parts and I found the two pieces that I need, which are these, which is a little sort of ball joint. I'll put the name and number of them at the bottom of the screen. This is ideal for fixing Centurions' shoulders. So what we've got to do is attach the ball joint to the arm. I've already chopped off part of the little remaining post that was there, so that this is now flush. I'm going to drill a 3mm hole into that and insert that ball joint into there. Then we have to modify this part so that it sits in that hole there. It's just going to be a case of taking the plastic nippers out, cutting off the end of this and shaping it until that fits in that little gap there, and it is an almost perfect fit. We can then glue both of those in place with some super glue, and that will be the arm fix. I have an entire video on how I did this process, so do go and check that out. I will sort of skim through it today in this video, but do check out the original video to see the whole process. The glue has now had time to dry, so you can see that piece is glued in pretty firmly. I've also glued in the ball joint, so we can now go ahead and pop the arm back on. As you can see, that fits on really nicely, and we can rotate it round as you would have done originally. There is some limitation in the movement, which I talk about in the original video. I'm sort of happy with that because at least we've got some motion in this arm. I did show another way of fixing this very early on in the channel using a screw, but it's a little bit more brutal to fix that because you have to split the body apart. This method, just using a piece of Lego, you don't have to do any sort of breaking of the body, and you can just sort of glue it in place. So it's a bit of a neater, easier fix, and I think most people would prefer that than splitting the figures apart. So now we've got that all sorted, let's move on to the weapons and the broken clips. Now, after a little bit of searching and some eBay purchases, I've managed to pick up all of the weapon accessories that I need to finish this Ace McCloud figure, and they're all pretty clever because they use the same sort of little clip mechanism to fit onto the figure. So there's lots of holes over the figure. You can see we have this standard clip, and that fits into all of the holes, so we can pop this weapon wherever we want on the figure and sort of customize it. It's a really nice little idea. But one of the pieces that I bought, so another of these missiles, that clip has broken off, and I've seen this on a fair amount of these weapons and accessories for these figures, that the clips do tend to snap. So I want to try and find a way to replace that clip and replace it with a really sort of readily available part, and I think Lego is going to be the answer. So I'm going to get my box of Lego out, we'll have a rummage and see if we can find something that we can make a new clip out of. Here we have my box of Lego spares, and this is where I go to when I'm fixing most toys. And the first thing we need to do is actually measure the part we're trying to recreate, which is this little post here. So I'm going to say that's about 5mm across, and that's good because that's actually a standard size for Lego pieces. All of these little pieces here, this is a Lego Technic pin, you can see it's about 5mm. So I'm looking for something ideally that's red and it's got a similar sort of shape to this, which is a slight hexagon by the looks of it. And I reckon I can see straight away a good piece, which is this. This looks like a Lego axle, but a very short one. It looks like it's 3 studs long. I'm not quite sure of the name or the number of this one. I will research when I'm editing this video, and I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. But I reckon that is probably a good place to start. I've got some other pieces that are red. There's a red little Technic sort of pin, but I think that's going to be the one that we go with. So let's see if we can modify that and make something that fits inside these little holes here. So yeah, let's start with that one. So if I just hold these 2 pieces up together, you can see that is what we got to recreate, and this is the Lego part. I think that's not going to be too bad to do. You can see there's a little ridge around the original sort of peg there. That's the bit that clips into the body. We've actually even got a little ridge around this Lego piece, so it's about the same distance as well, which is absolutely perfect. So I'm going to get some files out, and let's start filing this down, trying to make that slightly more of a point like the original piece. And we'll see if we can get that to click into the figure. So yeah, let's get filing. After not a huge amount of modifying, you can see I've ended up with this. I've just slightly tapered one end of it. That is what the original end looks like, and I've tapered this end, just taking a little bit of the sort of diameter away from it, so it's just a tiny bit smaller, and that seems to work really well. So we can actually clip this into most of the holes on the front of Ace McCloud. It works really well. Let's test it on the arms. The arms are slightly tighter fit, but yeah, that feels pretty good. Very happy with that. So now we have to attach this to the broken missile, and to do that I'm going to use another piece of Lego. This is a Lego whip antenna, or the remains of a Lego whip antenna. I'm just going to cut a small amount of that off. I will drill a hole into this. The Lego whip antennas are 2mm in diameter, so I will drill 2mm diameter hole in there, insert a piece of that and glue it in place, and then we need to chop this modified piece down to the right length. I'm just going to measure that against another one of these missiles, and then we'll drill a hole into that, which could be a little bit tricky just because it's so small, and we will then glue that onto the whip antenna that we've stuck in there, and hopefully that will work. It's actually gone a lot easier than I'd expected, just because this part is such a perfect fit. With a very minor bit of modification, it fits precisely. So yeah, let's get drilling.
Shall we fix some toys?
This is one of those fixes that's just very satisfying because everything seems to come together perfectly. Drilling the hole in the bit of axle is a little bit tricky, and I would recommend using a pair of pliers to hold it. You saw that I didn't, and actually with a pair of pliers it's a lot safer. You risk drilling your fingers, so yeah, use a pair of pliers. That's the little hole with the post in it on the original missile. You can see if I put these two pieces together, it's a very satisfying fix. It looks almost exactly like the original. If I bring in the original one, you can see that is so pleasing when pieces of sort of Lego and that just fit together to make a replacement part. So what I've got to do now is just glue that in place. I'm just going to be using a bit of super glue, so I'll put some super glue on this post. We want this to stick really firmly because obviously there's quite a lot of force that goes onto this little post. So I'm going to put a fair amount of super glue on there. Then we'll line this up and just push that on. And we'll let the super glue set, and then we'll give everything a test. The bit I'm a little bit worried about on this is that all of the force on this post is when you pull it out. So I don't want that end piece of Lego to pull off of the sort of fix that we've done there. I don't think it will because I've sanded the post down enough so it's just a very sort of gentle fix when it goes into the figure. I'm hoping that that will be enough to still hold it in place, but also that we can remove it as well in future. But yeah, I'm very pleased with how that's looking. It's remarkably close to the original. I've now given the glue some time to set, so let's test it out. So this is the original post, and that just fits on. You can see that fits on pretty nicely, snugly, works in all of these little sockets, and this gun really is supposed to sort of sit on the arm there. This is the one that I have repaired. Let's test this out. Yeah, that's working really well. It clips in and you can unclip it. The glue is working just as I'd hoped. So we can clip that onto the arm, and there we go. That is that little weapon repaired. That is incredibly satisfying. I do like it when Lego helps repair old toys, and in this instance we've repaired two parts of Ace McCloud. We've repaired his weapon and we've also repaired his arm there. So let's put all of the weapons back onto Ace McCloud and I'll show you the finished figure. And here we go, here is Ace McCloud all ready for display. It's taken me a fair while to find all the pieces for this figure, but I'm so glad that I've now got him back up and running, and he's looking so good. It's lovely when bits of Lego just happen to work with toy repairs, and with these Centurions figures it really is the first place to go. Have a look in your box of bits of Lego and see what you can find, because chances are there will be just the right bit to get a figure repaired. I still need to find all the accessories for the other two figures, but for now I'm very pleased that Ace McCloud is all fixed up and ready to go. I do need to say a massive thank you to Morley, who very kindly sent me a load of pieces for this figure recently, so big thanks to him. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And if you've really enjoyed it and want to help out toy-polloi, then why not think about becoming a Patreon. You get early access to all of my restoration videos and also access to an exclusive video series called On the Cutting Mat. So have a think about that, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos.